Hey guys, good morning. Today I'm going to show you how to simplify radicals with two different methods. The first method is called the perfect square method. And it's called that because obviously we're going to be using perfect squares to help us simplify. I want you to pay close attention to both methods, and then I want you to decide which of the methods you prefer and which of the methods you can see yourself using more. Okay, so the perfect square method involves a perfect square, right? So let's say I want you to simplify radical 50 or the square root of 50. Well, first thing is, what does it mean to simplify? Well, to simplify means to break it down into its smallest parts. So in order to do that, we have to factor out 50. What is 50 made of? So to the right of my screen, I'm going to write out all of the factor pairs of 50. I'll start with 50 times 1, right? So 50 and 1 are a factor pair because 50 times 1 equals 50. Another factor pair would be 25 times 2, and then 10 times 5. So if I'm not mistaken, those are all of the factor pairs of 50. So after I've listed all my factor pairs, I now want to identify which of these factor pairs has the highest perfect square. Which of these three has the highest perfect square? Well, I know that I can eliminate 10 times 5 because it doesn't have a perfect square at all. 10 is not a perfect square and 5 is not a perfect square. 50 times 1 has a perfect square, which is 1, but it is not the highest. It's actually the lowest. So we would go ahead and eliminate that one as well. So what that leaves us with is 25 times 2. And as you can see, 25 is our highest perfect square. So we're going to use this set of factors. So we're going to bring it over here because 25 times 2 equals 50. But then we have to add our radical symbol to both. Why? Because our initial problem, the square root of 50, has a radical symbol. So the factors also have to have a radical symbol. So at this point, we have a perfect square in our problem. So all we have to do is just find the square root of 25. Well, we know that the square root of 25 is just 5. The square root of 2 cannot be simplified any further without giving us a decimal. So we're actually just going to leave it as the square root of 2. And then so now we can just combine them, right? So 5 times radical 2. And that's our final answer. Okay, so that's the perfect square method. And it's called that because you're using a perfect square to help you simplify. Okay, the second method is called the factor tree method. So this is called the factor tree method. This method takes a little bit longer, but oopsie, students tend to like it because it doesn't involve perfect squares, which if you're not very good with perfect squares, this might be the method for you. And of course, my screen doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, so I'm going to use the same example as I did before, radical 50. So we want to simplify radical 50. But this time, instead of using a perfect square, we're just going to go ahead and factor out 50. So we're going to do what we call prime factorization. So we'll start with 50 at the top of the factor tree. Now we want to pick two of its factors, right? So if you're not very good with finding the factors of a number, start small. 50 is an even number, so we know that it can be divided by 2. So we'll start with 2 and 25, all right? Well, 2 is a prime number, which means it can't be factored any further. So we're going to move on to 25. 25, the factors of 25 are 5 and 5. Well, now we have a prime number. We have two 5s, which are also prime numbers. So at this point, we're done factoring because we have reached all prime numbers at the end of our tree, okay? So what we want to do now is we're going to take our factors of 50, our prime factors of 50. We're gonna write them out. So the square root of 50 is actually the square root of 2 times 5 times 5, right? All we did was we factored out all the prime numbers. So 2 times 5 gives us 50. So now we're gonna split it up. Well, the square root of 2 times the square root of 5 times the square root of 5, okay? So again, square root of 2. Now we're gonna combine 5 times 5, which is the square root of 25, okay? And then so now we have simplified square root of 25 to just be 5. And so now we're gonna combine 5 and radical 2. The whole number always goes in front of the radical. So then here you have your answer, okay?